He wiggles his face the way Lance Bass wiggles his eyebrows, and it drives me crazy. No shade to Lance. You know he's in sync. I love you forever. However, damn, eyebrows be just double dutching. It drives me crazy.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to Soap Lore, the official gathering place for newbies, novices, and OG diehard fans of the golden age of prime time. I'm your host, Jet, and I'm viewing and reviewing the soapiest, sudsiest primetime storylines of 1981 or 2. We are back on the cul-de-sac, and we've got some business to tend to. So whether you're new to this or true to this, sit back and enjoy. Tell the kids it's time to play outside or out of sight. Tell babe no questions, suggestions, or concerns for the next 25 to 35 minutes. Everyone else in earshot, cool, quiet, or kicked out of your only options. And it's raining today, so you better make up your mind soon. We are watching our stories. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this is Soap Lore. Hello, gorgeous. Welcome back to another fun-filled edition of Soap Lore. I am sort of feeling myself. I'm in a new space today. I hope your day is going great. We have got a very interesting episode of Not Landing to jump into today. Season 3, episode 17, Letting Go. It's all about the shuns and the shuns. Intuition, submission, shun from public eye because you're embarrassed. Not on these shows, not today. I am going to enjoy myself a little bit of normal, sparkling water, along with a watermelon feta basil salad that I chopped very finely and put into a gorgeous dish because Martha said it would be fabulous. And she was right. We have a little bit of fan mail that we're going to jump right into. Shout out to Shelly. I was also inspired by Shelly to take a walk after I read her email. Shelly writes, "Thank you for the wonderful podcast. It brings me back to the glory days of my favorite nighttime soaps. I enjoy your comments and your commentary. I loved Knots Landing, Dynasty, and Dallas in that order. I liked Falcon Crest, but it didn't really compare to the top 3. My simple observation is this. Knots Landing has the best character development. A lot of the characters really grew or changed during the series. Dynasty, by far, had the best settings. Dallas has the best plots." Thank you so much, Shelly. She says that she went on a 4-mile walk. I didn't get quite that far, but I sure appreciate you listening. I thought about this after I read her email. I think I fell kind of head over heels in love with Falcon Crest at the beginning because it felt a little bit more like a drama. And I think I was just more, I don't think I'm more inclined to like it. Maybe I'm just more trained. You know what I'm saying? I'm just seeing more dramas. So I really enjoyed that punch. And to me, my big 3 were Falcon Crest, Dynasty, and Dallas. But I can admit now that if I had started watching Knots Landing first, I think my thoughts on Falcon Crest might be a little bit different. But because I'm 4 seasons deep, I really fallen in love with the characters. I kind of like the way they do things. I love it, but I can admit to myself that had Knots Landing, Dynasty, and Dallas shown up, I might have never heard about Falcon Crest, which I think is a lot of the kind of grumblings from the Falcon Crest community. It always sort of comes up as an afterthought. Lucky for me, got to wait till these were 40 years old before I started watching them. So hey, thank God for streaming. I didn't have to choose. But you know what? Someone we care about does. Go ahead and pour yourself up something bubbly and bright. I think I need just a little bit more to wash this down. As we jump into season 3, episode 17 of Knots Landing, Letting Go. This episode is riddled with shuns. I don't know any way else to say it. Like, there's so many thoughts, there's so many nuances on this episode, starting with Uncle Joe. I'm so glad to have him as a new addition to this show. He brings a certain level of kind of, not fierceness, but he's not afraid of Karen. I don't think anybody is outright like terrified she's going to do anything to them, but don't nobody want to go toe to toe with Karen. Nobody on that road wants to. So we're going to get rid of Joe first because he is one of the bit players. We see this bright yellow cab pull up with Not Landing Cabco on it, and it drops off this random brunette. This woman jumps out the car. I thought she was for sure a Jehovah's Witness, or that she was about to start selling Avon or something. To my surprise, this is Joe's sweetheart, his Miss Thang Thang from back east. It's early in the morning. He comes outside. He looks like he's about to go to work when all of a sudden, he sees her. Lorraine? Joe! Reach out for each other and share a warm embrace. Oh my God, what are you doing here? In LA, yeah, a merger. We have some things to do out in LA. And he's like, oh great, well, is there anything I can do for you? And she's like, yeah. You can go ahead and break your girl off some. She flew all the way across the country to get I'm going to keep it cute just in case there's a couple kids. She needed a merger, a different kind of merger. She wants to merge with Joe. It's been a long flight. She's had some very long nights. Listen, let's go ahead and do what we need to do, Joe. Now I'm surprised. I thought Joe had business to attend to, but he turns on his heels. They go upstairs and they have a morning merger. And then they chase their morning merger with a little breakfast. It is at this point that Joe realizes, oh my God, I have a whole job I'm supposed to be at. He's thinking like, wait a minute, this is LA. This is traffic. I have a noon class. He was clearly leaving the house at like 8 a.m. So he goes, I guess I'm not going to work today. Let me go ahead and call somebody. Good to see you, Lorraine. Well, over the course of the show, one thing you start to notice is that they do have this wonderful chemistry. They're just kind of bouncing things off of each other. Remember this, remember that. You start to deduce that they probably had a really substantial relationship, but nobody seems upset about it. It's on the contrary, they seem to be pretty enamored with one another. But then you also start to notice that this woman ain't really going anywhere. He's like, I thought you said you had to work. Oh, yeah, I did. I do. But I just came into town a little bit earlier. You know what I'm saying? I just want to spend time with you. I wanted to see you, Joe. I need mergers. I haven't had mergers in a while. They also sort of casually mentioned in passing that Joe likes to gamble a little bit. Lorraine makes a comment like, you'll bet on anything. If you call up a bookie and say, hey, put $10 on this, hold $5 on this, the over and under, blah, 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 that's called gambling. And Joe's like, nah, it's not gambling. But everybody's smiling about it. So they don't outright say he has a gambling problem, and maybe he doesn't. I'm just saying, this is a soap opera after all. Everybody needs advice. He seems pretty squeaky clean at this point, so we will see if anything comes to that. Shortly after Lorraine's arrival, Karen comes home and Karen sees her. She's like, oh my God, Lorraine, what are you doing here? Hey girl. They get along fine. Apparently they've met each other several times before, which adds to my suspicion that they had a substantial relationship, she and Joe, that is. Lorraine's like, girl, your house is so cute. I can't believe this is the first time I've been out to Cali to see y'all. I'm so sorry about Sid. Yeah, I'm here for work. I'm working here. I'm here for work. Karen's like, oh, that's great. Joe, a word? They go into the other room and she's like, I know she's not sleeping in my house tonight. You think she's going to sleep in my house? And he's like, well, of course she is. Karen turns into Joe's mom. There will be no fornication in my house. That's the other case. Shun. No fornication in my house, Joseph. What do you think this is? You think that's a good example? You think you can just bring people in and out of my house and doing God knows what, whatever you want under the blankets? That's inappropriate. He's like, oh my God, breathe, relax. We'll get into why she had that little fit here in a little bit. So the truth sort of oozes out. It trickles out slowly over the episode, and it goes something like this. Lorraine is and was and most likely will always be very focused on her career. She's a great lawyer. She loves that, and she loves Joe. Joe wanted a family in marriage, but Lorraine wasn't there. I totally get where she's coming from. Late 70s, early 80s. She's trying to put her stamp, her print, or I can't even think of the word right now. She's trying to solidify her career. She wants to be a lawyer. She needs to put in a lot of time for that. And, marriage and kids just wasn't that. I'm thinking that if she had Joe while she was, when she and Joe were together, he's teaching, she's being a lawyer, they're happy. It's just, you can always kind of kick the can down the road. Oh yeah, we'll have kids someday. Well, it seems like his someday ran out when he decided he was going to go to California. And now she's filling the void. All the things that were, semi-pleasurable are just horrible now. They're mundane. She misses him all day and all night. So she's come to the conclusion that there's no time like the present. If this is what you want, then I want that too. I will want whatever you want. Which immediately, you already know if you're a real one, makes me think of one of the greatest films ever. One of the first films I ever saw, which is wildly inappropriate when you think about my age. Coming to America. What kind of foods do you like? Whatever foods you like. Unfortunately, Joe does not tell Lorraine to bark like a dog. A big dog. He doesn't do all that. But instead, she tells him, hey, you win. He's like, what do you mean I win? You win on your terms. I want to be with you on your terms. And he's like, okay, could you refresh my memory? What are my terms? Children and marriage. I want that because I want you. Now they're saying this under a pillow fort on the floor. It seems very innocent. He's smiling. Dimples are on full display. But like a lot of things, the light of day really brings things to fruition. So after she tells him this that night, the next morning, it's just not really sitting well with Joe. The next morning, in their understated finest bathrobes from Sears, the truth is unraveled on the front lawn in a cul-de-sac. I just know Lily Mae is for sure ear hustling from the window. The way that Lorraine presented the marriage and children didn't sit right with Joe because she said, you win. You can have the home and the family, the things you've been agitating for. That just feels like a microwave promise. That feels very like, here, fine. If you insist, here, I'll do it. And he didn't feel that. He's like, that's not love. That's not devotion. It's a dream poorly wrapped in contrition at best. Lorraine wants him, not the family. That's the part that's really not sitting well with him. He's able to really articulate to her that wanting him and settling for a family is not the same thing. He loves her, but he also knows that she would only have the kids to appease him and not because she wanted them. He wants her to want her own children. Not to say that she's going to hate him or anything like that. Not to say that she wouldn't be a super awesome mom. But it's the principle of it. He wants his kids to grow up in a home where both parents want them. He wants them to grow up one. He commends Sid and Karen for raising their kids the way they did. He's like, he says to Lorraine, my sister's kids are strong. They're tough because they grew up in a house where two people wanted them to be there and they loved him. He's not really willing to compromise on that. And Lorraine's like, listen, it's not that I don't want it, but just, I don't know that. That's not the life I had. I don't know anything about having a happy family. I don't know anything about being in a secure place as a child. So it's not that she doesn't want it. And I can totally understand where she's coming from, especially if she loves him. She just can't imagine it. She does not have the imagination to allow her body and mind to kind of catch up. So she's like, listen, this is all I got. I'm standing out here in this red terry cloth robe, offering you my heart and a family, but that's all I can give you. If that's not enough, I don't know what else to tell you, Joe. I don't know what to tell you. So later on, towards the end of the show, you see Lorraine and Karen out there digging in the yard. It is very clear that Lorraine has never dug in dirt in her life. Not one time. She is struggling with that little shovel. And she and Karen are talking. We'll get to their conversation at the end. But just know that it appears that she and Joe have seems like he rethinks it a little bit. And I'm not mad at it. I really enjoy the dynamic of them there. But you know what? We can talk about that once we get to Karen. So, Karen, remember on the last episode, she met a fella called Larry. Very generic name. Kind of a generic guy. Only this generic guy is what you need. Sometimes you don't need all the bells and whistles. You just need something plain. Every now and again, I get a hankering for mind you, I grew up in Texas, guys. So when I say Coke, I mean like a Coke, not just a Coke. Okay, first and foremost, I do not mean the book of sugar a la Peter the Filibuster. That's not what I'm talking about. I am talking about a carbonated beverage in a can. Not necessarily the brand Coca-Cola. So Every now and then I'll want a Coke, but the Coke I want is this cheap. There used to be a store brand called Surefine. I hadn't seen it in years, but think of it as like the Walmart brand, just that whatever the store's brand is. A Surefine cream soda. Every now and again, I get a hankering for a Surefine cream soda. I want a good cheap cream soda or a good cheap root beer. Now, truth be told, these are all probably made in the exact same factory as the higher end products, but it's just something about something being cheap and easily available that hits the spot. Sometimes that's what you need. Larry is that cheap Surefine cola. He's that cheap Surefine root beer or cream soda. They're hitting it off. He's showing up. He's hanging out at the house. Hell, he even picked up the garbage to take it out without being prompted. Well, he feels like they've been going together for a little bit, and he says, Karen, I think it's time we move to the next level. Why ever, what do you mean, Larry? Larry means kissing. I want to kiss you, Karen. I want to share a passionate kiss with you. And she's like, well, okay. So they kiss. You see her sort of melt into him a little bit. Her eyes close. She opens her eyes and she's like, I like that. So they do it again. She kisses him again. This is all wonderful. It's not very clear at this point how long it's been. By my guesstimation, I guess it's been around 9-ish months since Sid has passed on. For this episode, although Laura's not in it, she is mentioned once or twice, but she is my measuring tape for this hypothesis. I think that she was not pregnant when Sid died. Suddenly she's 3. Well, no, so I guess this could be about a year later. Laura is around, by my estimation, she's around about 5-6 months pregnant. I think it has been 10 to 14 months since Sid has passed away. Anyway, things are going good with Larry. A little too good. But the thing about it is, nothing about it is too good to be true. He's genuine, he's into her, and she's into him.
Thank you, party people, for bearing with me up until now. Had a little bit of technical difficulties. I hope we are back on track. So, like I was saying, I'm using Laura as a measuring guide. It's been at least a year or so since Sid has passed away. So, Karen, for lack of a better term, she was kind of shook after the kiss. Not because it was a bad kiss, because it was a kiss she liked so much. She is realizing for the first time that that part of her isn't gone. She thought we grown here. She thought her libido is gone. She thought with the death of Sid, she wasn't really trying to think about dating anyone. She didn't really want to open Pandora's box. Yeah. But this seems to be the first time she's considering that as an option. And so there's this sort of giddiness that she's suppressing, but there's also a lot of confusion surrounding this because, after all, she's a widow, she's in mourning. Can a mourning widow have these sorts of desires? This is my interpretation, guys. Feel free to watch the show. I feel like you'll probably get sort of the same thing, but the thing I love about watching Karen the most is that Karen is always Karen in front, like whether she's in front of somebody or behind the scenes, she's exactly the same person. She is totally unafraid to spill her guts or not spill her guts or, yell at one of the kids and then pat them on the back. She's not afraid to show those emotions. So coming to this point where under normal circumstances, barring her being a widow, let's say it's an alternate universe where she is a 38-year-old woman meeting a man she really likes, it probably would not have been as difficult to just sort of allow those feelings to flow like she'd want them to. But she's very confused. Is this too soon? Am I allowed to have these feelings? Am I still married? All of the things are kind of floating up to the surface. Well, turns out Larry, who likes to travel and likes to buy cars in his leisure, really, really likes Karen. So much so that he's a little bit hesitant to get on a plane and fly back to Houston to take care of some business. Apparently, one of the work projects he was working on went bottoms up. They have to kind of rebuild, redo. And it feels like he's going to be gone for a significant amount of time. So he says, hey, Karen, why don't you come with me? I'd really love for you to go to Houston and have a good time. Oh my God, my accent. And have a good time. In Houston. Not Houston, Houston. She shook. She don't want to do that. But she does want to do it. Because at the end of the day, she's still a red-blooded American woman with midnight, midday, and morning needs. And you know what? Larry's looking like he might know what he's talking about. He might know how to make a merger or two. So let's flip back to Joe a little bit. So Karen is asked by Larry to travel with, oh my God, I don't know, I have kids, I have all this, blah, blah, blah. But the truth is, yes, she has kids. Yes, they are semi sort of independent, but also her brother's there. And she has the best neighbors on earth. Valine will raise those kids until they're 50 if need be. So she could, but it's like, do I really want to? Anyway, she gets home and somebody comes around the corner. Oh my God, Lorraine, is that you? Hey, girl. Oh my God, Karen, I'm so sorry about Sid. I can't believe it's the first time I've been to your house. Every time we meet, it's in New York. Yes, yes, it is, girl. How long are you staying? Oh, I'm here for work. I'm working. I'm here for work. Okay, cool. Joe, a word. Joe and Karen go into a separate room where she rips into him about the fornication she will not allow under her roof. You already heard the spiel in Joe's segment of the podcast, so I won't repeat it here. But once she's done, after he tells her to relax, she goes up to her room. He follows her. He's like, yo, what's really going on? And she tells him, hey, bro, I kissed Larry today. I kissed Larry and I really, really liked it. I don't know what to do with that emotion though. Am I doing too much? And this is where Kid Brother comes in. This is probably one of the only people who can just be really blunt with her. She's going to listen to him without hesitation because, they're family. It's also interesting, though, on this scene, we find out that she's never actually been to Sid's grave. After they buried him, she's just never gone back. So she's sitting on the edge of the bed, pondering the idea that maybe her pain is in remission. Maybe it's easing up a little bit. Now, Joe thinks she needs to be in transition because at the end of the day, as he puts it, Karen, life is moving on. Things are going to happen whether you jump on board or not. And honey, at the end of the day, you are no longer Sid Fairgate's wife. You don't even have a choice in that. I need you to hear me. You are not his wife. He's not here. That is a hard thing to hear. God bless, I'm not a widow. But the whole term, widow and widower, is that you have lost your spouse. Like there's a whole title in the English language to describe what you are now. It I've never even considered that before this episode that, are you no longer married if someone's dead? I guess not. You could move on. Nobody's going to judge you for that. But I suppose it's up to the person left living to decide how long that's going to be. So that's basically what's going on this episode. Karen is deciding how long she is going to be Sid's widow. She'll always be his widow, but she will never ever be his wife again. So Joe decides, I can tell he's probably thinking after watching the show, seems like he had a little plan. He needs to help his sister out. So he decides he's going to cook dinner. He's going to kill two birds with one stone. Number one, he needs to get everybody fat, full, and satisfied so that they'll be a little bit more pliable, i.e. Karen, because he needs Lorraine to stay at the house so they can have a couple more mergers. Also, he wants to, get the family together. It's familiar. This is me projecting a little bit, but it seems like a good plan. Lorraine very much seems like part of the family. If nothing else, the kids are used to having her around. They know who she is. She is a pseudo aunt, even though she does not have the title. But I love this scene of them just doing nothing. They're just eating at the table, talking about New York, talking about good times. They're arguing. Everybody's going back and forth, but you can tell it's just all love. And it's all so comfortable. And it feels good to me watching the show to see so much life in Karen's house. I will say, I feel like they've handled the whole Sid thing really wonderfully. Everybody's gone through their little thing. The kids are dealing with it really, really well. And I think Karen is too, but there's still so much under the surface that we didn't know. So after dinner, Joe just kind of casually mentions that he wants to watch home movies. There's so much we haven't seen, and he's using Lorraine kind of as an excuse. Like, oh, well, she didn't see this, blah, 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 I hadn't seen this. I've never seen any of your home movies. Let's go ahead and fire up that projector. I have to say I envy anyone who ever had a projector like as an option. Never had one of those in my home. I mean, I think we might have something that we used for a backyard party one time at my mother-in-law's, but I don't even know where it's at. Anyway, they sit in the living room and they start watching home movies of Sid. Of course, they're at the beach, they're talking, they're all having a good time. And what you sort of feel is it's not sad like you would think it would be. But what you realize is that there's tons of little moments that Karen and the kids have sort of forgotten. And watching the film, they get to talk. They get to talk about it a little bit. And the more they watch, the more they see that, some things never change. Diana and Karen are still arguing every chance they get. Michael's still not good at holding a camera, although he's the baby. I don't know why you give this, because those little projectors probably weigh 35 pounds. I'm exaggerating, but at least 10, 15 pounds. And he can't be any more than like 4 if he's holding the camera 4 or 5 years ago. But it's really beautiful. And how do I put this into words? It's almost like a gift. You get to see someone you love. You get to see the person you have missed so desperately and that you will always miss desperately. But now they're at a point where they can talk about them not as this tragedy, but just as him. Sid gets to be just Sid. He's still their dad. He was Karen's husband. He's just him now. He's not wrapped in just kind of misery and sadness. There's no gray cloud over it. It's just sort of tiny little moments of realization, tiny little memories that were resparked. And everybody seems to be doing good. It seemed like Michael and Karen weren't really keen on watching the films, but they both did pretty okay during it. So, with that, Karen decides that it is time to kind of finally let's put a bookend on this. Let me end, not my love, not your memory, not my longing for you, but maybe, just maybe, I can begin the end of my morning in that way. I'm gonna begin the stagnant morning. I'm gonna move forward. I'm gonna put a little motion in motion. I didn't mean to say that, but kind of, that's what she means. So this, for the first time since the last time, Karen goes to the graveyard. And it all feels a little silly to her to talk to this headstone because she knows Sid's not there. She shares this little anecdote about how when she was a kid, she'd try to pray and she wasn't really sure that God could hear her unless she did it over the radio. So she'd pretend like she was on a radio. So she does the same thing for Sid. She expresses to him and in other parts of the show that she doesn't know what her moral compass is at this point. She doesn't know if she's going to end up in perdition, if she moves on and starts, having little fornications, murders with other people, but she has to keep it real with with Sid. Hey, dude, for the first time since you died, I feel alive again. I didn't realize I wasn't alive until now. So she decides on her own that she's going to no longer wear the wedding band. She's going to put it on a necklace, a locket necklace that he gave her, and she's going to enjoy it. She just doesn't mean I don't love you. Doesn't mean I don't care about you. And this is silly. I'm just talking to a headstone anyway, but this is me loving you and moving on. I think that's the best part. Two things can be true at once, 5 things can be true at once. She could be totally devastated that he's gone, miss him so dearly, wish he was around, but also her heart is healing. She's able to discover love, and she also thanks him for that. Thank you for teaching me how to love. Thank you for giving me the gift of love that I can now hopefully find again. I loved it. Perfection. And I love how just open she is all the time. But you can tell this was a harder subject for her. But she always had like this little smile on her face. It's like kind of wrestling with that giddiness and like in between being giddy and dazed and confused. Seems to be a little more confusion on the cul-de-sac. Let's go ahead and jump into my favorite people to talk about sideways. The Ewings, featuring Abby Cunningham. Did I tell you guys I was staying at a hotel and I went down to the front desk? I forgot why I was going down there, but I picked up a card And like the hotel's manager's name was Abby Cunningham. I got so excited. The kid had no idea what I was talking about. I guess we have to start with the beginning. Methanol. Methanol is supposed to be this great new alternative energy that could change the way the world runs. This adorable guy from North Mexico had an old bootleg distillery, and he decided to turn lemons into lemonade, if you will, turn booze into cruise fuel, turn a little wheat into methanane, methanol, whatever. I learned this episode that it is not drinkable, which is completely devastating if all this doesn't work out. You can have maybe they could distill it a couple more times and call it, put some hair on your chest or something like that. But here's the deal. Not only is this technology old and new, the way to produce it is old, the use is new, which makes people a little bit hesitant. But unfortunately, there's this antiquated law on the books. We discover this when Richard is over at the house. He's talking to Abby and Gary while Val is chilling upstairs in her Laura Ingalls Wilder robe. Ah, God, the robes on the show suck. Anyway, Richard is like, listen, there's all sorts of prohibition laws that make it really illegal to bring liquor across the border. To those of us who are, I think millennials were probably the last people who got to do this freely. If you live on one of the border states, and I do mean in the U.S., California, New Mexico, Arizona, or Texas, then you know it was a rite of passage to go to Mexico on your 18th birthday to drink. Not saying everybody did it, but it was very, very common for people to drive down on the weekend and have a good time. Where I lived, they would go to OJ and have a good old time and then come back. Like people used to do it all the time. Matter of fact, I think I've said this before on the show. People would cross the border all the time, like back and forth. People would go shopping for sturdy furniture, just different things like that. Probably we're the last generation who got to do that. Things started getting a little funny in the mid 2000s, 2010s. So it's not nearly as friendly. I would imagine if you live maybe in Canada and or Detroit, you know what I mean? There's if you border states, border countries, it's not always what you see on the news. A lot of time it's pretty friendly, you just kind of walk back and forth. Where was I going with all that? Oh, okay. That's where I was going with that. So because of this kind of knowledge in the back of my head, I was very surprised to hear that you could not cross the border with alcohol, but that makes a lot of sense if you have to go through customs. I figured as long as it was sealed, that wouldn't be a problem, but apparently in 1981 or 1982, that was still a big issue. You could not cross the border with grain alcohol. So Abby and Gary are completely like flabbergasted. Like, how is this even, really? Richard's like, yeah, I'm so sorry. That's what it is. Richard leaves. Abby and Gary start talking ish about how uptight Richard is since Laura left him. Like he had anything to do with prohibition. So they quickly deduce that they have to get to the state capital, which in this case would be Sacramento, and they need to bring this, hold on, let me get my life together. Ooh, my American government is a little bit rusty. But they need to get to the house. They need to get to the capital so that they can talk to a congressman to get this bill put before the House. Basically, they need a bill. It's not an addendum. What was that called? They need to basically have this bill removed, or they need to add another bill that vetoes this old bill. You know what I'm saying? I forget all that works. So remember I told you Valene is upstairs looking like Laura Ingalls? Well, she comes downstairs, I guess after she doesn't hear Richard's voice, because I know she is Lily Mae's child, so I know she was ear hustling at the top of the steps. Well, she comes down when it's just Abby and Gary, and she happens to see Abby's hand on his face. I'm going to be playing devil's advocate this entire episode because I really do think in that moment it was kind of innocent. She was, I hate to use the word soothing Gary, but she was like, hey, don't worry about it. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I need to make a brief correction. Val's robe isn't hideous. It isn't horrible. It isn't terrible. It just isn't very glamorous. Had I had nothing else to compare it to, I would have thought it was pretty cute. It's not bad. More importantly, She ain't having it. So anyway, she comes down the stairs. So Gary's a little discouraged to find out that there's this sort of random but huge obstacle in the way of his dream. He tells Abby, okay, find out who the chairman is of the committee who's in charge of bringing bills before the House, and we'll figure out how to talk to him. And Abby just kind of has her hand on his cheek the way you would like your nephew. It's not really sensual in that way. It seems very innocent. But if you already don't like somebody, you don't like somebody. So when Valine comes down the stairs, she sees Abby's palm on Gary's chin. And Abby looks up real happy. Oh, hi, Val. Val don't say nothing. She can't stand this woman. And okay, so now we have the Vidalia Onion Queen is turning up the heat just a little bit. Okay. So there were a series of non-Googleable research moments. Abby pretty much figures out that the Senator Riker, what a coincidence, is about to be heading out of town. I guess she just made a phone call. I just made that way more complicated than it needed to be. I was like, oh my gosh, how did she get his personal schedule? She probably called and talked to his secretary. So they figure out that he is about to go on a trip. And if he goes on this trip, he will not be able to present this bill to the committee in front of the House and get it vetoed. Like, they're pretty confident that no one cares about corn liquor from Mexico. Like, no harm, no foul. Everybody's drunk anyway over here. Let's just do it. But the gotcha is he's not in the office that day. He's actually playing golf. So they decide, okay, well, let's just go to Sacramento. It's like an hour flight. We can be down there and back in no time. It doesn't hurt. Closed mouth don't get fed, right? Well, Gary's like, well, girl, don't we have a full job to do? She goes, it's slow here. And she's right. In the car business, it's not going to be booming every single day. Actually, most days are pretty slow. So he's like, okay, yeah, I guess we should. And her thing is, don't forget that we have money invested in this. Let's just go do this. Gary's acting all, fidgety and weird. But the truth is, he's worried. And Abby clocks it. So Abby's like, listen, is this because your wife doesn't like seeing us together? Now here we go. Now that I know who she is a little bit, she's telling the truth, but she's also stirring the pot. They always say every good lie has a little bit of truth in it. So she's like, okay, Gary, do you not want to go because your wife is going to be upset? And he's like, it's complicated. She's like, it's not that complicated. I have a lot of money invested into this company too. We have to take care of business. And I'm not going to, I don't think it's fair that you won't want to go because your wife is jealous of me. Did anybody say she was jealous, Abby? That's not what he said. That's not how, I don't know how Val felt. I don't think she's jealous. She's just suspicious. She has her suspicions about y'all's interactions. Plus, y'all spend a lot of time together. I'm sure she don't really like that. Plus, she knows a history. Plus, she knows that her man has a history. So a lot of this sort of venom that she's not actually spewing, and I do mean Val, probably comes from the fact that she knows Gary has already stepped out. She knows Abby has already stepped out. Well, I guess Abby didn't step out. It's not adultery on her part. But she knows how Abby works. I suppose if Gary will go for someone who is calm and very put together like Judy, not at all a seductress, then what is he going to do with Abby? I'm assuming. This is me projecting. Val has not actually said this. Not like that, at least. So Gary goes home to say, he walks in the door and the first thing he says is, hey, we got to go to Sacramento. And she's like, oh my God, I'm not packed. Like, what are we going for? He goes, no, not you and me and Abby. We got to go. I'm kind of on the fence. He walks in and like he's told Abby, he already knows that this is sort of a tense situation. But here's the truth. Here's the tea. You can have a feeling about something with no proof. We call it intuition. It took me a really long time to trust that intuition. Val's definitely got it. She's able to put pieces together. Like I said, she's going off of Gary's past. She sees what she sees in front of her. She'd be a fool not to be at least a little bit suspicious. So he comes in and he says that, and he's already pissed as he's saying it because he, quote unquote, knows that she's going to be pissed. That's such a lose-lose situation. I hate when people do that. Like, Don't give me bad news and not give me the opportunity to react the way I choose to react. If you get to react, how come I don't get to react? It has nothing to do with being mature, but it's like you can't bogart this. That's very manipulative. Even though I don't think he's trying to be manipulative here, but he's okay. Let me move on. He starts in. We have to go to San Diego. We have to go to Sacramento. She thinks that he means she and him. He tells her it's him and Abby. And then he immediately starts getting a little bit louder because he can tell she's upset. And he says, "Damn it, Val. I want you to know this business isn't just a 9 to 5. We're going to have to work together. We're going to have to do these things. I know you don't trust me." Now, here's the other thing. Where Val has intuition, I think Gary is dealing with a little bit of guilt because he is lying by omission. He has not told her about the kiss. I've had a little time between the kiss and now I am not defending it. But I will say, I'm not granting you a lot of grace, but I can understand you getting caught up in the moment. Okay, we can account for being excited. But he is walking around with the full knowledge that, he had a moment of passion. He's spending a lot of time around this person. I still I'm standing by that. He's not really giving that I want her vibe, but I think that he thinks Val might know a little bit more than she's letting on. So this conversation is really, really tense. He's like, I have to work. I need to go. Why don't you just come with us? Then Val's like, see, now you're going to have me looking like the jealous old wife who won't let her husband do anything. He tells her, no, just come. Learn about my business. Be involved. I want you there. I want you to come. I'm kind of on his side right now. And y'all better enjoy it because enjoy it for about 35 seconds. So I'll tell you about the look on his face. I think that's kind of a great thing. That's actually a pretty good compromise. Come, learn. He also said that he felt guilty. He's tired of feeling guilty. I think that's kind of a double meaning. You're tired of feeling guilty because you're not honest about at least that kiss. Or you feel guilty too because you're working so many hours. It's taking a lot from he and Val, and also he's working with Abby so much. It's not a lose-lose situation, but god dang it, if this man don't stop, God, when you go to the dentist, you have a little work done and you can't quite feel your face, he moves his face so much. He wiggles his face the way Lance Bass wiggles his eyebrows, and it drives me crazy. No shade to Lance, he's in sync. I love you forever. However, damn, eyebrows be just double dutching. It drives me crazy. And this kid's face is the same thing. Like, damn, Gary, okay, Shackelford, we know you're acting. Damn. Where was I? They get on the first thing smoking and they go to Sacramento. And these people pull up on this senator on the golf cart course. Long story short, the senator was in the middle of a golf game. He didn't really want to talk about this during his golf game, but, 3 heads are better than one. They managed to convince him, mostly Abby, that, hey, we're not going to bother you. We're not going to interrupt your game, but there's this little oversight on the state law books about prohibition. We think it's time to maybe cut that. Do you think you can get that done? We will only talk to you between holes. I do not know enough about golf to tell you what that means. But in between those, while you're chilling, we'll just talk to you about it. And for what I know about golf takes a really long time to play. So yeah, not a bad idea. Well, Gary and Valine all but give up because the senator's like, you know what, dude? I totally understand what you're saying. I sure would hate for you guys to lose any money with your new business endeavors and whatnot, but I just don't think I can do this. And plus, I'm going out of town tomorrow, so I'm really sorry. Let's just, maybe we'll talk about it. I'm not saying no. I'm just saying no, like no today. So Val and Gary are like, dang, I guess we're going to go back home. And Abby says, well, y'all go ahead and go. I have some friends, a couple up here that I know. I'm just going to hang out with them tonight. Maybe they have a few strings they can pull. Let me continue to work. Y'all go ahead and go home and be happy. She got her mind on her money on her mind. So she goes and she puts on her finest Golden Girl dress. And she shows up at the senator's office under the cloak of darkness. Now, why he would be at his office this late, I'm sure I don't know. But he is, and I'm glad he is because she has the opportunity to walk in and strut her stuff. So here's another side of Abby that I'm discovering. First of all, she does her homework. Actually, I'm not surprised by that because she was all in those books on the whole ghost episode. She prepares. So she did her studying, she did her research, and she's able to kind of schmooze the senator. Senator, I know who you are, and I'm an admirer of your work. I've seen the bills you've passed, I've seen the causes you've taken up, and I think partnering with you would be perfection. We are trying to bring a new sustainable fuel option to the United States of America. Think what you could do, not only for me, not only for my partner and his business, but for this country. We could change the like she sells it. I'm like, damn, I'm tempted to go out here and pour a little booze in my gas tank. Only we all know that didn't work out. So the senator is absorbing what she's saying, and you know what? She's hitting all the right notes. My ego is struck. I'm not really inconvenienced. She's making a lot of sense. What if I brought a new sustainable source of energy to the United States? What could that do for me? This is me riffing here, guys. What could this do for my political career? All I hear is wins. All I do is win. What did you say your name was, young lady? My name is Abby Cunningham. Would you like to go to dinner with me tonight? We can discuss it over dinner. Here's the thing. I say this every time I watch this show. This is what Knots Landing does best. Now we can deduce from everything you know about Abby from season 2 to now. Where do you think they went to dinner? Do you think it extended past dinner? Or can we accept that maybe she is not only, she's got more than boobs, she's boobs and brain. And not for nothing, she reads people like a book. It's perfection. She understands what humans want and what they need. So the next time we see Gary, he is giving a just country bumpkin hoop and holler. Woo, woo, I'm not even going to do it in this house. He hollers. He is right excited, as they'd say. And Val's like, what happened? What happened? And he says, Abby got the senator to basically go along with us. He's going to present the bill tonight, blah, blah, blah. It's probably going to pass, blase, blase. Val is excited. Oh my God, that's so awesome. Blah, blah, blah. They're celebrating in the kitchen. I think this is where she's wearing that raggedy robe. It's not raggedy. It's just not Dynasty. It's not Falcon Crest. So in the midst of all this celebrating, Val is, asking the standard questions. Oh my gosh, I can't believe she got it done. Way to go, Abby. Was she still in Sacramento? And Gary says, no, she's back home. It's morning. Val's like, she's already back home? Yeah. Gary don't care. All he heard is that we about to make this money. So he don't care where she's at. He don't care how she got home. But all Val is hearing like, wait a minute. She must have worked all night. Is that what you're saying? And he goes, maybe, I guess, I don't know. Money, 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 money. So Valine starts to thinking. The onion rings start to steaming and she deduces, okay, I can't just sit here. I got to get up and go say something. This is where, for the first time, I find myself sort of challenging her logic. Just a little bit. But there you go. Intuition. You don't have to know why you know. Sometimes you just know some stuff. Also, just like two things can be true at the same time, you can be right about something in the wrong moment. Meaning, let's say you have a sticky finger friend or an Uncle Klepto. Every time he comes to your house, something's missing. You've never seen him take it. But 2 + 2 is 4. Unless he's around, then it gets stolen. One time you run up on him when he's patting his back pocket after, I don't know, one of your Glade plugins goes missing. You're like, hey, Uncle Klepto, empty your pockets. Sure enough, he empties his pockets and his pockets are empty. Okay, you was wrong. But tell me why he gets in the car and he removes your necklace from his neck. It's kind of one of those situations. Like, okay, I just haven't caught you, but I know something is going on. Enter the best scene of this episode. Vidalia, the Onion Queen, feels away. She walks, 100 yards, 100 feet to Abby's house. She knocks on the door. Abby's like, hey, girl. Abby's wearing a hideous robe. That's what I kept thinking about. Abby has on the plainest red robe ever. It's almost an insult to her. But I guess she needs to be demure this episode. She's like, hey, Val, what's going on, girl? I love this scene. I love this scene. I love this scene. So Val comes in. She's obviously been pondering what's going on. She decided she's gonna have a little Nubian knot this morning instead. Forgive me if you can hear the thunder. Instead of a little ponytail. She says, Abby, I gotta ask you something. Did you convince the senator to change his mind, or did your friends? Now Abby still has a smile on her face, and she's like, what? She's kind of surprised. I'm also surprised that Val would approach her in this way. Anytime you've seen Val approach somebody, it hasn't been based on an inkling. It hasn't been based on her opinion. She's like the feds. She's showing up with the facts. Not this time. She is going straight from the heart. Was it you or was it your friends, Abby? And Abby's like, excuse me? Then Val throws another hook. I wasn't expecting her to say. She goes, if it was you, you shouldn't be ashamed of it. Implying that this is another one of those double meanings, if I'm understanding this correctly. If you did sleep with the senator to get this bill passed, and you're okay doing that, you shouldn't be ashamed. Or if you did that and you had to do it, then you shouldn't be ashamed. Or if you just convinced him, you shouldn't be ashamed. It's a challenge. It's not a statement. It is a challenge. This is the moment. Mark this date, this time. On season 3, episode 17, Letting Go, was the day that Jet Shay realized Abby is not one to play with. I've had suspicions. My intuition told me that. But this is one of the best scenes. Girl, guys, fellas, and ladies, baby, she's something else. In the same breath, Valine, the Vidalia Onion Queen, might have grown some thorns or some thickles or something. I don't know what's going on with her today. She's not one to play with. She says, Abby, if you did, you shouldn't be ashamed, and you should tell Gary so that you get credit for this bill passing. Abby kind of scoffs and she's like, girl, you know Gary wouldn't understand. The law is going to be repealed, Val. That's all that matters. So in my judgment and my kind of understanding of this scene, it's like Val, that was my biggest question. I've been pondering this for a little bit. Why does Val insist that Abby tell Gary about this? Does she want her to admit that maybe she slept with the senator to get these favors? In my mind, Val wants Gary to know what Abby is willing to do. It's almost like, I want you to prove me right, but also I want him to see what he's falling into, or what he could be falling into. I don't know. I don't know if this is really for her or if it's really for Gary, because at the end of the day, we all know she's calling her bluff. Val is calling Abby's bluff. She knows she's not going to tell, and let's be honest, Abby's calling Val's bluff. She knows that Val doesn't want her to tell him. She knows this. So Val's like, that's all that counts, huh? That's all you worried about. Abby said, listen, Valine, there's things called resources. You use them. People use what they have. Some people have a lot of money. They use that to get what they want. Some people have a lot of power. They use that to get what they want. You have to be smart. I am paraphrasing here. You have to be wise. You have to use what you have and the resources available to you to get what you want. Basically, she's saying, be smart, use what you got to get what you want. Use things to get what you want. You let that sit with you. And Val was like, well, what about what's right and what's wrong? Now, see, that's what I'm like, Val, you contradicting yourself. What are you implying here? We all know what this is. This is it. This is the moment. I'm calling it now. This is, at least for me, I don't know about anybody else. I envy you OGs who know what's on the other side of this. But also, I would never tell somebody to envy me. This is amazing. I'm so glad I'm getting to see this. Val tells her, what about right and wrong? Abby says, worry about right and wrong when you're fed. Basically, take care of yourself first. When you know where your next meal's coming from, then you can worry about good and evil, right and wrong. I believe, millennials, Aladdin told us the exact same thing. Did he or did he not? Was he a street rat or was he just hungry? Did he or did he not use scheming and scamming and a genie to get what he wanted? I'm just saying, this pisses Val off. She's like, girl, you, first off, don't talk about being hungry, you rich biatch. Are you for real right now? That's how you really feel, Abby? Abby calls her bluff. What do you think, Val? Oh, I love this film. This is like 20 seconds. I have stretched it out to 2 minutes, but it's like a 20-second scene. What do you think, Val? Val says, I think I need to keep both eyes on you. I think I'm going to be watching you. I'll be watching you like a hawk in the sky. Now, I suppose in some circles, especially in the South, that might be an insult, but as we discovered several episodes ago, Abby is unfadable. She's not bothered by your opinion. And she says, you know what, Val, you do that. Keep a good eye on me, baby. How else are you going to learn? Oh! She said, watch and learn, Vidalia. Lord have mercy. Is this a line in the sand? Abby is, it just, I am blown away by her kind of, I don't want to say it's a lack of a conscience, but sort of, she's not bothered. She is truly unbothered by people. Tell them, Val, is basically what she's saying. Tell them. You want me to tell him? You really want me to tell him? This is an interesting play because at the end of the day, Gary is still growing. I forget that he is coming off of this, I'm not the good enough son. I'm not a real Ewing. He's not that he really cared about being a Ewing, but you know what I mean. They're known for their business acumen. And him, not only, he's not in the mafioso this time. He's found something brand new. It's energy based. It's beautiful. There's got to be a small part of him that wants to make sure, not only he wants it to succeed because it's exciting and it's business, but this could change everything for him. Maybe. I love the fangs that came out. I love this. So there was no admission from Gabby. She's like, okay, you think what you think, but I'm going to tell you something. Use your resources wisely to get what you want. My, oh my. Baby, that was delightful. I think I'm going to pour myself a little more bubbly. It's sparkling water. I might go Google, see what Martha talking about as far as cocktails. But, oh my gosh, so good. Go ahead and join me next time as we jump back into another classic vintage primetime soap opera. In the meantime, in between time, there's no other way to say it. Use what you got to get what you want. But don't be surprised if you run up on the Vidalia Onion Queen and wake up dead messing with her. Stay hydrated, stay moisturized, mind your own business, and keep all of your drama on TV.